Good evening. It's safe to say that we've all been exposed to a creep or two in our lives. Tonight's creeps, though, are a special kind. The type that invite themselves into your home without your knowledge. Let's get into it. A girl I used to know told me that her dad used to tickle her and her sister's feet to wake them up for school in the morning. So when weird things started happening around the house, they would just say, "Knock it off, Dad," and it would stop. Well, one day something happened in the kitchen, and she said, "Knock it off, Dad." As she was walking out the door, something growled in her ear, "I'm not your dad." When she told her dad about it, he called the police straight away. When the police got there, they searched the entire house. There was no sign of anyone else, but when they checked the basement, there were possessions belonging to the whole family, their lipstick, their underwear, and even photos. They moved out a few weeks later. I used to work at a home improvement store, and there was this middle-aged guy who used to come in regularly and hang around. He seemed a little slow and clingy, but harmless. He would always address me by name and say that I was really pretty. Then one day, he was in the store as we were closing, and he saw a male co-worker give me a hug before he left. The next day, that male co-worker woke up to find his tyre slashed in his driveway. He never knew who did it. Meanwhile, I'd been noticing that I was always losing underwear at home. I just assumed I had been losing them in the wash or simply misplacing them, and thought nothing of it. I even joked about it with Mum. Then it happened. I was sleeping one night and woke up to find this guy standing silently over my bed, staring down at me, with my panties pressed against his face. I flipped the fuck out and he ran out the sliding glass door on the back of the house. The same unlocked door, as I found out once he was caught, that he'd been coming through night after night for months to watch me sleep and masturbate with my underwear. Due to illness on both sides of my family, I've always lived with either my grandmother or my aunt. There have been several times before my grandmother's passing that my aunt had lived with us to take care of her and help around the house. I must have been around 6 or 7, and my aunt was living with us along with a daughter who's 3 years older than me. I don't fully remember the layout of the house, but I know that I eventually ended up in a room that had to be walked through to get to the bathroom. At the time, my aunt had been in a pretty serious long-term relationship with a guy whose last name was Waters, and he'd come over pretty frequently. I remember him being well liked. One night, I believe I was playing a video game in our living room when I hear a lot of commotion coming from the stairs that led to the second floor. So what happened was that Waters was caught by my grandfather in my room. My grandmother was in the shower, and apparently Waters had pulled aside my dresser, which was against a wall shared by the bathroom, and poked a hole through it so that he could watch people while they were showering. My grandfather caught him and literally threw him down the steps, and I never saw him again. I live in a moderately sized city in the north of England where I study at university. One thing about student houses in Britain is that they almost always have the front lounge converted into a bedroom, which is where I live. This means that I have a fairly large window, about 1 metre by 1.5 metres, that faces directly onto the street. There's a small part of the window at the top that opens to allow ventilation, which is about 10 centimetres tall. I usually leave the window open slightly at night to let some air through. Covering the window is a set of Venetian blinds. My set are white, which means with the streetlights outside, you can see a silhouette of anyone who walks past the window, even when the blinds are shut. So last night, I was incredibly hungover and I went to bed quite early, leaving the window open as usual. At around 1 AM, I woke up as I sometimes do, and went to check my phone for the time. It was then that I realised I had woken up because I heard a noise. The weighted end of the pull cord was hitting against the wooden blinds. This usually happens because of a draft, so I paid no attention to it. As I started to drift back to sleep, I looked at the blinds and saw 2 people silhouetted against the white wood. Then I saw a hand reaching through the window and pulling the cord out of the window. I sleep in the nude, so I didn't go over to the window, but I sat up in bed and waited for what happened next. The blinds opened suddenly, and two men wearing baseball caps were pressed against the glass, looking in. One of them whispered, "I think they're awake," to the other, to which I shouted back, "What do you think you're playing at?" They shut the blinds and ran, shouting, "We're looking for someone else," and that was the last I heard from them, for now. I genuinely thought it was a dream until I saw that the cord was outside of the window. We had a break-in a few months ago when my laptop was stolen, so I don't know if this was anything similar to that or why they could have been looking for someone by sneaking through a window. I live between two houses of just girls, so it's likely that I wasn't their intended victim. I've never been a girl who's scared easily. I routinely watch crime shows, horror movies, etc. However, a night in March 2005 changed all that for me. I was attending college for music in 2005 and had recently seen one of my favourite violinists. Inspired, I asked a pianist friend to accompany me while I played a piece. So we went to the college's music practice rooms, which are nearly soundproof and separated from the rest of the building. My friend and I are in the practice room for about 15 minutes when she looked at me and says, "Don't freak out, but there's a guy with a mask on behind you." Now, this is college. There are plenty of people doing stupid shit all the time. When I turned around, I realized this was something much more sinister. Crouched on the other side of the practice room's glass door is a thin guy, about 5'8", wearing a blonde curly wig, the Groucho Marx glasses nose combo thing, and the creepiest smile ever. Yeah, that's right. No pants or underwear. Just his penis out. When I turned around, he waves and then enters this tiny practice room. My friend and I try to remain calm because we honestly don't know what to do. Then this guy tries to strike up small talk with us and mentions he heard me talking about my favourite violinist. Apparently he's been standing outside the practice room the entire time. He knows our names, where I'd gone that day, where our hometown is, my guy problem at the time, etc. As soon as possible, my friend and I book it out of there. He was blocking the door most of the time, so we were really scared. As we're leaving, he says, "Let's do it again." The next day, I'm in choir and the dean comes in. He tells me that a friend of my cousin stopped by and dropped me off a present. I tell him what happened and he's furious because the campus security didn't do anything. That's when the stalking began. He was soon clever enough not to go by the music office again, but my dorm neighbours would tell me that a guy was looking for me to give me some kind of gift. One time, a stack of CDs from various violinists were sitting in my assigned seat for choir. Another time, they were outside my door. All the while, the campus security were doing nothing. Things died down when I finally moved away from campus and stopped altogether when I moved away from the college town. Until 2 years ago, when I moved back to the same town. The first week back, I received a direct message on Twitter saying, "Glad you're back. I've missed you. Let's get together sometime." And that brings us to the end. Guys, if you liked the video, please give it a like and let me know what you thought in the comments below. Now, I just wanted to give you a quick update on the channel and how we're going. So, we're at about 630 at the moment, give or take, with subscribers, and that's way surpassed the 500 goal mark, you know, so I haven't forgotten. I will be doing the live stream on the channel. I guess I just want to try and coordinate it with you guys, and it's been a bit busy over here. I wasn't expecting it to hit it so quickly, so thank you everyone so much for your support. So I'll be organising that live stream, that Q&A, so if you have any questions, or anything you want to ask or anything you want to bring up, anything about Australia, anything about me, or anything you want me to read, yeah, just get them ready for me, and we'll organise that. So I'll see you guys on Saturday night.